Good day, Minecraftians. Purple Mentat here, bringing you episode 36 of my Regrowth Let's Play. Last time we had the 2-hour-long Dragon Kill stream special, where I hung out with the patrons and did some cool stuff with Thaumcraft afterward. This time we're going to do a bit of a recap, because I don't expect anyone to sit through a 2-hour live stream just to see all of the little bits of Thaumcraft that I did. There wasn't a whole lot covered. And we're going to finally get those golems made so that I can get my coal working, being harvested without my direct attention. So what we covered, we made the arcane alembic using the V filter and a bunch of iron, gold, bucket. We made some arcane stone blocks. These, oh, there you go. Just surround any shard with 8 stone and you'll get 9 blocks. These can be chiseled into a variety of forms. You can also make them 3 at a time using a sliver from Automagy. And honestly, that's a slightly better recipe because you'll get 12 out of each shard instead of 9. But yeah, that's just flat out a better recipe. Huh, neat. That's cool. But it requires more aspects of Ignis and Terra in your arcane work table. Lots of cool potential chisel recipes with these, so yeah, check out what you can do with the arcane stone blocks in a chisel. We also crafted the arcane thaumaturgist the thaumaturgist robes from Thaumcraft, made from enchanted fabric. Each of these pieces requires crafting with some amount of enchanted fabric in an arcane work table with some amount of aspects. And each of them gives you a small discount on the V that you will use in the arcane work table. The enchanted fabric is made with 1 of each aspect, some wool, and 4 string in the arcane work table. So you're basically spending a bunch up front to save you a lot later on. These are definitely worth making, something you're going to want to have. Much more important are the goggles of revealing that we got crafted, using 2 thermometers, 2 gold ingots, 4 leather, and a handful, 3 or 5, of each of the primal aspects in the arcane work table. So totally worth having, because what these guys do is they allow you to see nodes all the time. If I fly over here, see, I can see that node is there. I can see that it has 57 per DTO. I don't know why the Wayla integration pop-up isn't working, but that's supposed to work when you're wearing the goggles of revealing. Maybe it was because I put it on from that armor stand over there. Anyway, one other cool thing that we checked out on the live stream was the node tracker. This is accessed by pressing the I key on your keyboard by default. You can change that in the config. And when you are wearing the goggles of revealing, you can say, oh, look, there's a 75 aqua node, and I could definitely use some aqua right now. Mark that, and you will see an arrow pop up on the top of your screen. You're not going to want that there all the time, but if you just want to do a quick refill of your wand, it's a great thing to have. It will also track multiple different dimensions worth of nodes. So, for example, I could pop in here and change this to overworld nodes aren't going to have what I need. Hey, look, here's another node with 22 Ignis or 41 Ignis. That's what I'm after. Yeah, some pretty cool stuff available. We did complete some more research, so let's take a look at what we accomplished. Off of ores and nodes, we researched advanced node tapping and master node tapping. Both of these allow us to drain from nodes faster at a rate of triple what we would normally be able to do. We also researched node preserver. This will stop us from damaging nodes when we drain from them. So very important. We can drain off all of the Ignis and aqua in this without actually taking that last point in damaging the node in any way. Which is great, because it means you just don't have to worry as much, and it also makes everything a lot faster. To get that arrow off the top of your screen, you're going to need to click the clear arrow button in the interface. Easy peasy. Was that all of the Thaumcraft we did? I believe it is. Alright. That was all the Thaumcraft. The dragon, that went really fast. It wasn't a surprise with as many highly geared people as we have on the server. We got to see some crazy cool stuff out of the people that were there, so that was pretty cool. I'm glad that everyone seemed to have a good time while we were out there doing our thing. Dragon egg is over here next to the altar. To pick up the dragon egg easily, as it seems that there were a lot of people that were, having some issues with that, just put a torch underneath it, 2 blocks down, and then dig the block that it's on, and it'll fall onto the torch and pop off as an item. This is vanilla mechanics at work. Now, the reason that I have the dragon egg over here next to the witch's altar is if I take a look, I'm currently at 9,750 power. I put down the dragon egg, and that increases to 11,000. So it's worth 1,250 power, like, on its own. It is the single largest contributor in terms of altar power that is in this area. Okay, so next on the list for Thaumcraft, for golems, we are going to need to make the golems themselves a very specific amount of various aspects in the crucible. We've got a couple of options for this to get our Humanus, Modus, and Spiritus. Modus is generally easiest to come by on a trapdoor, which I think I still have one over here. But you'll notice that there's extra arbor in that. Spiritus tends to be easiest to come by on soul sand, but again, there's extra terra and vinculum on that. Humanus, well, one of the easiest places to get that is rotten flesh, but there's extra corpus on that. If you just ignore those extra aspects, you're going to end up polluting the environment around you with taint, and that's going to cause you a lot of trouble. In the Thauminomicon and basic information, if you look at... Oh, I'm sorry, you're going to be polluted with flux, which will cause taint. Flux is the physical manifestation of magic gone wrong. Can manifest in 3 ways: liquid, a gas, and a physical malady. The liquid and gas is what you will be creating by tossing the aspects into your crucible and ignoring them there. So instead, we're going to create a way to use things a little bit more cleanly and without causing as many problems, and that's from the alchemy line. And those are the Essentia, the Alembics, and the Alchemical Furnace. We have 3 of the furnaces crafted, made from crucible, furnace, and arcane stone blocks, and we've got a handful of the Alembics crafted. Now, what we need to make to continue this, well, hang on a second. I think I need to research one more thing because the Essentia tubes were changed. Where is... Oh, it's off of the Golem Core fill. So we're going to need 3 more Permutatio. Let's go grab that. A commenter left the tip of holding shift and right clicking instead of left clicking so you don't put the aspect down here. And that leads us to the Golem Core decanting. So let me get this research done and then I shall be right back. Alright, never mind. I was incorrect. The Golem Core that I would need to upgrade the system is actually not the decanting core. I did unlock a bunch more cores: empty, fill, harvest, guard, and butcher. It's not going to be necessary right now for us to get into more than that, but when I do go to upgrade this system, I'm going to need to first unlock Mystical Infusion. So we're going to leave that there and take care of that in a little while. Right now, let's go ahead and get our Alchemical Furnace and some Alembic set up. And the other thing that I'm really going to need for this is, in Alchemy, the warded jars and labels. As you can see, these are pretty cheap to create with glass panes and slabs. And the labels are made with dye, slime balls, and paper, both of which very important. So let's go ahead and get some of those going. I'm actually low on things. For once, I actually want a giant pile of wood slabs, so I am perfectly happy to make that happen. And these, of course, require some V to create, which is why we're wearing our robes. Let's go ahead and get those going. And you know what? I'm gonna make a bunch because I know that I'm going to need them over time. Doing Thaumcraft, you will always need lots of these warded jars. Well, I suppose it's possible to do it without. a ton of them, but you're probably not going to want to. And let's just go ahead and make 4 labels right now. Do I have 4 black dye somewhere? Nope. Okay, that's okay. Easy fix. Where is my dye essence? Right here. And we can turn you into some ink sacs. I'm actually going to need 3 more than that. I should grow some more dye. That would be good. Now the labels, again, going to need just a little bit of V, just that tiny bit of magical spark to make things happen. And there we go. That's overkill on the labels, but that's all right. So we're just going to go ahead. Last thing we're going to do, we're going to get just a small handful of coal going. And I'm going to set up 2 of these alchemical furnaces for the time being. We'll just... Yeah, we'll just extend the general workshop another layer back. How about? That'll do. And we're going to put some arcane alembics on top of them. Whoops. Like so. And, ooh, you know what? I think I need... That's right. I need to stagger these to do it the way I want, because I'm going to need just a little bit of Essentia tubing as well. So if I can't really do 2 of them, can I? That's right. I'll stop talking in riddles here. Let me just go ahead and get things going. Now, the alembics, when used with... Oh, wow. I'm actually low on rotten flesh. And I don't have a good way of producing rotten flesh, do I? No, I don't. Maybe this is not going to be my source of humanist. Let me see if I've scanned anything else that is particularly good for humanist. You can check what you've scanned in the Thaumic by going to the aspect itself and mousing over it, but no, I've only scanned rotten flesh for humanist. I know that there is a, I think, biomes plenty area that'll get you plenty more. But what we're going to do now, I'm just going to spend some time tonight hunting some zombies and get myself all the humanist, all the rotten flesh that I could need to make all of the humanist. So, I shall return once I am done with that process. Alright, back from hunting. Did not come up with nearly as much rotten flesh as I wanted, but it should be enough to get going. Now, you'll see that rotten flesh has 1 humanist and 2 corpus each. If I take a look at my Thaumic, to make just a basic straw golem, which is what we're going for at first, I'm going to need 4 humanist. So let's go ahead and get 4 of this into the alchemical furnace and just give it a bit of coal. And you'll notice that it starts cooking and it's filling up with a bit of Essentia, is what this is called. And that Essentia is draining into the arcane alembics. These are to filter out the different types of Essentia that the alchemical furnace creates. And you can see that 4 humanist has come into here and 8 corpus has come into here. To make use of these, we're going to need to get those warded jars into place. Unfortunately, you've got 2 options. You can do it manually. You can drain out of the alembic, or the, yes, you can drain out of the alembic simply by right-clicking on it with a warded jar of the appropriate type. And if you right-click on it with a warded jar that has no type, it will go ahead and fill it with that type. And actually, I'm going to want 4 more for reasons that we will explain in just a moment. The other option you have is to make the Essentia tubes. And Essentia tubes are crafted with, oh, not restricted, just regular Essentia tube. Some quicksilver, iron, glass, gold, aqua, and ordo. And to get the quicksilver, you're going to need to get yourself some cinnabar ore. Cinnabar ore is transmuted from amber-bearing stone, which you get by smelting down nether amber ore. Now, the cinnabar ore, I believe that the best and only way, actually, is to smelt it. However, you might get your quicksilver if you use a non-silk touch pickaxe on it, which I thought I had one of those around here somewhere. Maybe it's still over in the hobgoblin area? Sure is. There we go. So let's put that down. Oh, the harvest level alumite. Never mind. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and smelt it. You might be able to break this with a normal pickaxe and get your quicksilver out of it, but I may never know. You absolutely can smelt it to get what you need. Give me just a moment here and we'll have our quicksilver, and then we can make that into 9 quicksilver drops, like so. And then we can use those drops to craft our Essentia tubes, just like this. Now, Essentia tubes do not work like any other form of pipe in modded Minecraft. Let me show you what I mean here. If I put a Essentia tube on this, okay, it will only connect to one side of the alembic, and it is not the side with... It is not the sides that I thought. It'll connect to every side of the alembic except this side. This side of the alembic can be used to put a label on it to make sure that only one type of Essentia ever goes into that alembic. It's been a while since I've done the Thaumcrafts. So if I were to, for example, attempt to connect these Essentia tubes and then stick my Corpus and Humanus jars underneath, well, it's not going to pump those like that because it's going to hit here and there's going to be a pileup. Basically what's happening here is each of these jars is applying a certain amount of suction to the tubes, which is causing both the Humanus and the Corpus to attempt to go through at the same time. They cannot. In fact, even once this is up to 16, I believe it still continues being a problem, because while this is applying suction for Humanus, it is being blocked by the fact that this is providing suction for Corpus. So you're not going to be able to just run a string of Essentia tubes and have it transfer all of your Essentia into your jars. The Essentia tubes are used instead for more static systems where you're going to be moving a single Essentia frequently. It can also be used to set your jars and forget them. Well, not really forget, but to set them just underneath each alembic, so that, say, if I wanted to do 8 more rotten flesh, I could easily do so, and it will drain into the... Ooh, actually, without the labels, though, we're going to run into the same problem. As you can see, Humanus is now storing in this alembic and Corpus into this one. If I were to put the Humanus under here, and the Corpus under here, it's going to drain off that Humanus, and then eventually Corpus ends up in this one, and now Humanus is going to start piling up in the one above it. As such, to avoid that, you need to make your labels. To make the labels, you need files. And these glass files can be made with glass and clay. They're very cheap. And you're probably going to be going through a bunch of them. And you can make these in a standard crafting interface. So you get yourself a file of Corpus and a file of Humanus, and you combine these with a jar label. It does not consume the file, it only consumes the label. And now, if I label this as Corpus, well, that one is the Corpus one, and this one as Humanus, Corpus will never go in here. Humanus will never go in here. Only Corpus can go into that file. I mean, that alembic. So I'm now going to put my Humanus back in here, which consumes the... Oh, no, it doesn't. It does give you the empty file back when you are putting it into the boarded jar. The other great thing about the files, if I toss them into the world and take a scan, they have one vacuous, naturally, but if it's full of Humanus, it only has the 8 Humanus on it. So you can toss this into your crucible and add the exactly 8 Humanus that you're looking to add. That's how we're going to keep things clean, is with those files. Now, this is a little overkill at the moment. We don't actually need the Essentia tubes. We don't need the jars. Well, I mean, we need the jars. We don't need the labels. You can shift right-click to take a label off, and that actually deletes whatever's on the label as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the materials that I need to make the basic golem by melting them down in the Alchemical Furnace. The very first thing, well, I mean, the very next thing would be soul sand. And I'm going to go ahead and just melt a stack of this stuff down. And this one is the one with the 3 aspects. We're going to need 3 full jars worth. Now, one other thing, you might notice that things go a little bit slowly and when you're using coal. And this does not drain out as fast as it possibly could. So what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves a better fuel that will make all of this work even better than it is. And that better fuel is found in alchemy and is known as alumentum. It is created by adding ignis, perditio, and potentia into a crucible and then tossing either coal or charcoal. And if you're clever, you can actually manage to get these 3 from the same place, or I think all of them come from gunpowder. Let's find out. You get your ignis and you can get your ignis and your perditio here. You can get potentia and ignis from coal or charcoal. So again, you might end up wanting to break some things down, and also your cobblestone has terra and perditio. So you might want to spend some time with a alembic system, getting some of the ignis, perditio, and such ready before you toss too much into the crucible. But let's show you what we can do if we skip that and just go ahead and go for it. Well, first of all, I'm going to get a bit of netherrack, because this is a good, cheap way to do what I want to do. Huh. Wouldn't even let me pick those up. My inventory is that full. That's going to be a constant issue when you are doing Thaumcraft work. Now, I really wonder, can I use the Rod of the Sea on this? Nope, that did not work at all. That's a mess. Well, I'll have to clean that up later. Oh well, totally worth the attempt. There we go. So, instead, you know, actually, what would work out pretty good is if I move this entire thing. Let's go ahead and do that. We are going to take the whole thing over here. Why? Well, because we've already got this pump here. And you can pump into the... Oh man, I destroyed my netherrack. Oh well. I'm sure that there are people raging about inventory management right now. All I can say to you folks is, I hear you, and I don't care. We're gonna go ahead and light that on fire, and we're gonna set the crucible down. Crucible connects just fine, and will fill and then heat itself up. Just like the Witch's Cauldron. Well, I think it's more like the Witch's Cauldron is just like the Crucible in this case, but that's beside the point. So, our options in this case, I think we're going to waste some terra. I'm going to throw in a bunch of cobblestone. And you'll note that when I'm wearing my goggles of revealing, I can see exactly what's in there. If I take them off, well, I can't anymore, but I could with... Actually, I can't even do it with the thermometer. I would have to guess. Anyway, you also may notice that as time goes on, it starts draining out the aspects. So let's keep adding things. We're going to start tossing in coal a bit at a time. And as you can see, whenever we have 3 of each of the 3 different aspects in there, it goes ahead and turns the next bit of coal into a piece of alumentum. There we go. And now, you can see that we've got 10 extra terra in there. We can just leave that there and let it slowly bleed off into the atmosphere, which will cause a little bit of flux in the area. Or we can smack it with our wand Let me get rid of some stuff that I don't need at the moment. That was not as much stuff as I was hoping to get rid of. That's alright. Grab my wand. We go over and give this a whack with a shift and right click. There you go. We have removed the offending excess stuff. But we have created some flux goo. And this is what we're trying to avoid. So we can clean it up, but that did kind of add extra nastiness to this area. And if we do too much of that, we're going to end up polluting and tainting the biome. And that's something that you just really don't want to happen if you can possibly avoid it. Now, the reason to use alembics fill up at 32, not 64, by the way. Jars can hold up to 64. It's one of the reasons that you might consider setting your jars underneath the alembics with labels and everything, because you're going to be a little bit safer in terms of processing an entire stack of material that way. Now, the whole reason we might use alumentum, one, it lasts a lot longer. Two, it cooks each of these a lot faster, and it transfers the Essentia a lot faster as well. So it is worth it in terms of getting things done faster, which is nice. Alright, I'm going to allow this to finish up, and we are going to also create for ourselves a bunch of the Motus. And Motus, we're going to get ourselves 32 Motus from 32 trapdoors. We're also going to end up generating an entire jar of arbor that way. And I'm going to make a slightly upgraded warded jar to show you another option for dealing with excess Essentia. See you soon. Alright, to make the trapdoors happen most easily, what we're going to do, we've got our 3 alumentum in there. We're going to go ahead and put a stack of trapdoors in, and we're going to wait for 8 of each to show up in the alembic so that we can create a glass file with each type. We're actually going to wait for slightly more than 8 of each, I believe, just to be safe. So we're going to make sure that we get a label for Motus and a label for Arbor. I made 16 Motus labels. That was a mistake. If you need to clear a label, you can just put it into your crafting interface with nothing. A label for Arbor. There we are. So now we can make sure that only Motus will ever go into this alembic, and only Arbor will ever go into this one. And then we can go ahead and set up our jars. We're going to put down a warded jar, and we're going to put the Motus into there, and we're good. Unfortunately, we're going to be creating 128 arbor, and there's really no point to having that much. So what we're going to do, we're going to take one of our warded jars, and some blaze powder, and some obsidian. And I need 5 aqua essence that I don't have. Oh, because it's in my wand. That's silly. So that we can create the void jar. And the way the void jar works is it will go ahead and continually accept Essentia past the 64 limit. Any extra Essentia it takes will simply dissipate. So it's going to go ahead and let all of that come into it. Unfortunately, it won't take the extra Essentia from the file. That's a disappointment. Anyway. I'm not sure if there's any way that we can handle that. Actually, there is a way that we can handle that. We're just going to go ahead and wait for this to empty out. Well, you know what? Here, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put down, or we're going to give it another label. And we are going to grab one more jar. Oh, whoop, they're right there. Silly me. I'm going to stick that jar here. We're going to label this with Arbor. When a jar is labeled, it is given a bunch of extra suction, so it will attempt to drain nearby jars of their Essentia. So now, if I give it one more Essentia tube connecting the two, the void jar should attempt to pull in all of the Essentia from this warded jar. I think, assuming that I have read everything properly and remember how this all works. Maybe it won't automatic. Yep, it's only pulling in when it's empty. That's a shame. That is a bit of a shame indeed. So I might just have to deal with the fact that I have 8 extra, and I can just shift right click to have that dissipate into the air. Anytime you need to empty a jar, you can shift and right click. However, it is not the safest way to dispose of things, as far as I'm aware. I do not remember what the safer ways are, but I believe they require infusion. Also, your jars will go ahead and stay labeled even when you pick them up. So this will always be an arbor labeled jar. If I put it back down, it keeps its arbor label, which is nice. You can also label jars by slapping a blank label onto the jar itself once it has some of the requisite essentia in it, which can be a good way to keep track of, hey, what do I have where, and look around, see what's there. It will also make sure that if you have a system to automatically fill the jars, it will make sure that it does not input anything that is not on the label into that jar. So now, how do we turn this pile of Essentia into a golem? Well, as mentioned before, to make the Straw Golem, we are going to need a hay bale, 4 Humanus, 4 Motus, and 4 Spiritus. Now, I can't draw off 4 of each of those very easily, but what I can do is I can get 8 of each very easily. So there's our Humanus, Motus, and Spiritus, and I'm going to go make myself a couple of hay bales out of 18 wheat. And then we'll be able to make ourselves 2 golems. Oops. There we are. Too much inventory, not enough space. So now all you need to do is come over here to your crucible, toss in, whoops, try not to stand on it or you could end up accidentally boiling off some of your own essence into there. Yeah. So toss in your Spiritus, your Humanus, your Motus, and then your hay bale. And there we go. We have made a couple of straw golems and we have used all of the materials that were in the crucible. Fantastic. Now, these straw golems won't do anything on their own. They need to get some motivation cores for us to get them active and working for us. But that is something that's going to have to wait for next episode, as we are just about out of time here. Instead, real quick, I'm going to cover using some of the spoils that I received from the Ender Dragon and Wither fights and such that I have not dealt with yet. Specifically, the canister, hearts that I found. So we're going to need some diamonds, and we're going to turn those essence of diamond into diamonds so that we can then make some jeweled apples. Jeweled apples requiring 4 diamonds each, so I actually need 2 more than I have. Wow. Forgot how expensive these were. Here we go. Wow, I am actually just don't have enough diamonds. That's kind of surprising. That's okay. It'll only take 2 more of these growing and then I'll have enough, so I will get to that in a moment. I'll show you them one by one. Here we are. So, let's go ahead. We're first going to make a couple of jeweled diamonds. When we have the jeweled apples, we're going to use these to create the red heart canisters using a necrotic bone, which can be made out of wither essence if you haven't found any, miniature red hearts, which you have to find by killing creatures or crafting down from the miniature yellow hearts, and, oops, hang on, the empty canisters, which are made out of tin and bone or out of aluminium. I'm just going to use the aluminium. And I'm actually going to need 16 to make 4 of these, if I'm thinking properly. Oh no, I only need 2. Okay, that will do. So now we combine these 2 with these 2 with these 2, and well, just pretend we have 2 of these. That gets us our red heart canister. However, we're not going to stop at red heart canisters right now, because there are multiple levels of heart canister all the way up to green. And to make the green heart canisters, you have to use a yellow heart canister. To make the yellow heart canister, you have to use a red heart canister. So in my mind, there's no reason to fill up my red hearts when I can just upgrade these all the way up right now. Now, to upgrade your red heart canisters, you're going to need the yellow heart canister and some notch apples, which require 8 blocks of gold each. So this is not a cheap process, and if you're more early game than this, you might want to not be going straight to the top, but maybe you do. So the miniature yellow hearts, the golden apples, and the red heart canisters get you your yellow heart canisters. Now you're going to need to turn your yellow hearts into green hearts. Hang on a second. Give me these. Crafting table. We're just going to finish up what I was waiting on here. There we are. This will clear out a bunch of inventory space for me. This is not a shaped crafting recipe. And then we can get the final upgrade to the second yellow heart canister. Excellent. Now, to upgrade your yellow hearts into green hearts, where did the rest of my yellow hearts go? Well, that sucks. I think because I shift-clicked, it consumed everything. Alright, so, note for the future, do not shift-click that recipe, you will be sad. Little bit frustrated with that. Alright, well then. Crappy note to end the episode on, but that's where we are at. At least I can make some more smaller heart canisters using the reds. I am otherwise well, I've got some yellow hearts here. Let's take these with us. Okay. To upgrade your yellow hearts into green hearts, each one of them is going to require 4 Terra Steel. Wow, I actually don't have that much Terra Steel. 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3, 4, 5. So we're definitely going to be turning on the mana generation system, that's for certain. Darn it. I need to set up an open crate so that I can turn that thing on from further out. There we go. Now, once you have your 4 Terra Steel, it is a simple matter to upgrade your yellow heart into a green heart like this. That gets you your miniature green heart. And then all you need is these and one of your Gaia spirits. Is that all? A Gaia spirit, you say? And then your miniature green heart, your yellow heart canister, and your Gaia spirit combined make a green heart canister. So there you go. That is how, by simply killing the Wither over and over again to generate large amounts of green hearts, or large amounts of yellow hearts, you will be able... Why are these not cooperating? There we go. Huh. You will eventually be able to have a total of 40 hearts instead of your standard 10. Alright folks, that's going to be the end of our episode. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope you have enjoyed our look at alchemy and starting to make some golems. Tomorrow, we're going to put these golems to use and get them harvesting some of my more frequently used materials, especially coal. And we're probably going to look into ways to change that coal essence automagically into the blocks of coal that I am using for my endo flames here. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a thumbs up and tell me what you liked. If you have not, please leave a thumbs down. Tell me what I can do better. Either way, you will be interacting so that I continue showing up in your subscriber feed. See you next time.